Welcome to Positive Filter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career with a little self-help around the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope that what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. Hey, Positive Filter listeners, it's me, Philip Wilkerson, back with another episode of Positive Filter, your boy, a.k.a. Prince of Positivity, a.k.a. I got two kids, a.k.a. I got no Corona, a.k.a. I'm going stir crazy. And I'm joined by a very special guest. Obviously, everyone is a special guest to me. I'm joined by my colleague, coworker, friend, Victoria. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the listeners.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody, or morning, or night. I'm Victoria Suarez, so I work together with Phil Wilkerson, and he really is the light of our office. And I don't have very many AKAs, but some call me mature, and some call me fast talker, and somebody called me shorty. So
there you go, shorty. And it was going to be fast. If you didn't say it, I was going to say it for you.
Fast talker.
So I might have to slow her down and put her speed at half speed because you don't want to miss what she's going to drop. But if you're a loyal listener of the podcast, you know that Victoria has been on my episode way back in the day actually twice since then. But, the
correct.
episode where we were together was back in September 2019. And we talked about confidence. And I just want to kind of give a recap what we talked about that last episode, what has transpired, what's changed, maybe some updates on the book that we talked about and discussed.
Absolutely.
So what's gone on since that September? It seems so far long ago.
Absolutely. Actually, so I wrote the book, and I really wanted to talk to people about confidence. I wanted to talk to people about having a better life, etc. And since then, I've decided to make a splash and not change careers completely, but certainly get a new skill set, and that is computer programming. So I'm doing a whole lot less speaking these days, and I'm sitting in front of a computer learning Java and Python. And I think that eventually I will be able to parlay that into, there's a lot of girls who tech and young girls who want to get into this field, and there's a deficit of women in the technology world, and certainly minority women. Yes. And so that's something I see as being on the horizon once I get a little bit better with programming. So that's what I've been working on.
Now, Victoria, you're very similar to me. We are extroverts to the extreme.
Yes.
They put extrovert in the dictionary, it'd be me and you taking a selfie. But also, I think we're big dreamers. And the thing about us big dreamers, which we've learned since 2019 as well, is that we pivot a lot, right? Like, I got an idea, that's dope, let me do this idea. Since that you still have a book, you're still an author.
Yes.
What have you done to not pivot so much that, you completely abandon old ideas? And I'm working on this myself, but what are some things where you're still incorporating being an author or, public speaking, where you are trying a new skill, but you're not completely leaving an old skill? Which I believe you're very good at. She's a great public speaker, by the way.
Well, thank you. So I feel I use the public speaking in everyday life. I'm in meetings where we're presenting ideas maybe to 5 or 10 people. Also, as part of our role here at George Mason University, we have to speak to classes of individuals. We'll speak at admissions events, etc. So I feel like I'm using it that way. A little bit of volunteering where I'm doing some public speaking. I recently addressed a class of new individuals, people that are new to our country, in the immigrant population who were learning some computer skills. So I was able to take what I do and what I'm passionate about, which is speaking, and present to those individuals. They got tremendous value out of that, and also so did I. But I also feel like even in the computer programming world, eventually there's a way that you can go out and meet new clients and get them excited for some software that you can build, et cetera. So I might be able to use my speaking abilities there. That's where I'm thinking that will kind of be like the sweet spot for me, somewhere between the actual technology and my passion for helping people.
And what about being an author? Because that was one of the things I thought was super dope. I'm thinking about writing a book myself because I think what I've learned over time when you're interested in public speaking, whether you want to be an author or not, a book is like a big calling card. People, write books to go backwards and say, okay, I got a book so people book me for speaking. Or, you know, I got all these ideas. Maybe a book could be more tangible that's passed on from generation to generation. So I think everyone that has the ability to write should put something on paper, you know,
Certainly.
at least with some skill. But are you still continuing that, or how's that working?
So one person who might be listening today is my co-author, Carolyn Kleinman.
She don't listen, but I'm going to send it to her
Oh,
anyway.
really? Okay, good. Now, this one is what you should listen to. So one thing I may not have mentioned during the last episode was while I wrote my first book, A Path Forward, we're in the process of authoring a second book.
Yeah.
And I have been dropping the ball on that a bit because I'm working so hard with the computer programming that Carolyn has been taking over a lot of the authoring.
Yeah.
So we were doing some research together, but that is probably where again, you already made the point during this episode that we pivot a lot. And so we get interested in a whole lot of things. We get all jazzed up and then we get another idea.
Yeah.
And so I certainly am guilty of that. And so sometimes I have to really slow myself down or just tell people no. And I've heard you say, Phil, I asked somebody to get involved in something I'm doing, and they said they would, and then you don't hear from them.
Ghost you.
Yes, they'll ghost you. And so I'm trying to be better about not over-involving or committing myself.
Yeah.
Tracy Watson would definitely, she would get on us about that.
Both of us.
Yes.
And that's kind of a great pivot, honestly, because, you know, this episode is going to be coming out Friday. So obviously we, you know, both work in higher ed. We're, you know, together in person, but not everyone else is remotely during this corona. And I was just thinking about, I got so many ideas, but maybe this is, you know, first of all, let me do a disclaimer. I'm so sorry to all the people that got it, dealing with it. Please be careful, wash your hands, etc. But for me, you know, I always turn things into a positive. So what is the positive out of this huge pandemic, yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Is giving me an opportunity to slow down, tighten up on the ideas that I've already pre-existingly have in place, no new ideas, and using this quote-unquote quiet time or time to be socially isolated to get some things done.
It's a good idea.
So that's what I'm doing. Is there anything like thoughts like that maybe in regards to slowing down for yourself and using this time to catch up on the wonderful, multifaceted, multi-talented Victoria Suarez?
So I was thinking that I might actually, going back to my Carolyn Kleinman story, I might actually help and contribute with some new material during my downtime since I'll be stuck in the house. I see myself finishing a few of the books that I've gotten halfway through, so I wanted to do a bit of reading. And certainly programming as well. So I spent a significant amount of time this weekend locked in the house programming. So also I'm a big one for going out to eat and chilling, and so I've over the last few days had more people coming into my house and cooking for them. And so even though we're not supposed to be so, you know, out there and all over each other, but still I think.
So you found a loophole in social distancing. You found a loophole in social distancing.
Yeah, come over to my house, yeah.
Come to my house and I'll cook for you and wash my hands. I mean, that's great. I mean, like literally I'm going crazy right now, like surprise.
It's day 3, but okay.
Yeah, it's Phil Wilkerson, day 3. If this was the zombie apocalypse, I'm already gone. Or I'd go outside to camp. And you brought in some loopholes. Like, I'm hurting. I ain't gonna lie.
Yes.
I am. I love people. I draw my energy from people, right? That's not a surprise. So what are we doing? Like, what are we doing during this time? Like, and I say we because you did a great one. You bringing people into your home.
Yes.
I don't think my wife is gonna let me do that with the 2 boys. So I'm getting out. I'm taking long walks with the dog. I look forward to coming to work today, actually, which is the weirdest thing I've ever said. So what are we doing? What is us extroverts going to do during this time?
Well, I see a lot of phone calls. I see a lot of messaging. I've had people ask me, do you want to set up text message groups? People that just usually will, one-off text you. So I think there's going to be a lot more outreach, and especially for people like me and you, we definitely need to stay connected. So if you're listening to this, please call, write, send a postcard, do something.
Well, when we get to the shout-outs and plugs, we'll share some social medias to connect with us, because for sure that's what I'm doing as well. Like I'm using social media as my way to keep connected and plugged in. But then with and going to work, obviously, and focusing. But I mean, I don't know, make a list form or whatever. I'm brainstorming right now. Like I need help. Like what's some tips we can do?
I mean, like I said, I think the phone calls, I think you hit it on the head there with the social media piece. And there's a lot of different platforms, a lot of different people. Maybe joining some groups on some of these social media platforms to see what everybody else has going on. I know that you have kind of your alpha family, so I don't know if maybe that's something you guys can reach out. Maybe I was just got a message this morning from a lot of about 10 friends or so, and they said we're getting on a conference call. They set up a free conference call so 10 of us can be chit-chatting. So that's one of those, freeconferencecalls.com.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's formal, but no matter what, if friends are connecting, it doesn't really matter if it's a conference or just chit-chatting.
Yeah, like I was thinking about that too. I literally popped in my head, like just like making a Zoom like meetup and like has nothing, like really a Zoom meetup with like no agenda, just like a space where I can see people's face. I don't know. I might do that tonight. Like holler at your boy at 10 o'clock. Just jump on the Zoom call and we'll talk about something. I don't know, because I think what I've noticed with any outbreak or anything, I've noticed what we normally take for granted, like so simply what we take for granted.
Yes.
And the things I'm noticing that I take for granted and I feed is that the form of social connection, how much social connection makes me feel good about myself. But also, it doesn't necessarily have to be social connection in talking. There's so many nonverbals. Like, I just miss walking around a busy campus and seeing people. If that makes sense, like smiling, just a normal smile, or waving at someone, or shouting, giving someone dap. And me, I literally
riding around on a golf cart with someone.
Yeah,
I
man.
caught him on a golf cart the other day riding around campus.
Yeah, man, I saw my man Cheese. Shout out to Cheese, and I got on the golf cart, and I just felt like saying hello. Those are things that I realized over time. That's what I've always enjoyed about, particularly working at a college and working at a place that is an organized structure that has a lot of people. Like, I could not work in a government law structure system where it was made to be socially isolated. I tried that. I worked at financial aid in a cubicle where I was just supposed to scan and link documents. If you surprised, I was the worst person. I got written up about 40 times for looking at YouTube. I was just so understimulated. I
had a similar experience. They put me to work in the library when I was on federal work study in college, and they put me to work in the library. And I'm obviously way too loud and obnoxious. And I was getting on the loudspeaker and making announcements in the library, like, "Hey, we got to close in 15 minutes." I mean, I almost got fired, but I quit first. But the point is, those are not good situations. We know ourselves very well, and I saw what you did on Facebook with share your picture and all this.
I need
just
that.
anything to start a conversation.
Yeah, I need that. And so we got some ways. So one, I guess if we're gonna say a tip is start a conversation. So start a visual or a virtual conversation per se.
Yeah,
That's
and I think this is probably a really good time as we start to get more and more distant from one another, as we get more disconnected from our daily routine, maybe start to ask ourselves, what is it that we miss? And those are the things that are most important. And I know in my book I spend some time talking about the fact that stuff's just stuff, and that's not a new concept, and we still buy a bunch of garbage we don't need and put it in storage units that we can't afford. And so I feel that this is, again, going to boil down to what do you really miss? And you miss, as you said, talking to people, smiling at people, walking across campus, and just seeing the people that we love. That's the most important piece.
Yeah, I think that's so okay. So I'll make a list of things I miss. I guess the one thing to take it to the next level is like, okay, make a list of what you miss, and then I'm going to take it to the next level. It's like, after you make that list of what you miss, how do you substitute it or fulfill it? So for instance, I miss smiling. So I need to see someone smile. So maybe for me, a phone call is not the best. I need a video call to see the nonverbals. Maybe, like you said, what I miss is a meal, sharing a meal with someone. Well, you're having Chateau de Suarez at your house.
That's true.
People coming over. So maybe I like a meal, but how can I have a meal with friends in a safe way? I don't know. What do you think? What's some thoughts?
Well, I mean, the other piece of this is if you do have the video, I was going to say, so my best friend and I were talking last night, and so she ended up making Mexican at her house, and I actually made fajitas at my house. And so then we were sharing pictures and kind of talking about what did you like, and maybe when this thing blows over, because she has kids, and so same thing. There's some concerns there. So once this thing blows over, we can we're trading recipes. Maybe we can get together and cook for one another and all this stuff. So I feel like just staying connected and. Maybe just having some of those, you're doing this independently, but you can still share the experiences remotely.
Yeah. Do you think that while it's remote, do you think even in a watered down version, it fulfills you? Like, for instance, I'm an extrovert addict. So, like, maybe this is like my quick hit. I watch a lot of these documentaries. What's the jump for heroin addicts? Methadone?
I don't know.
Methadone? Methadone or something.
Okay.
It's like the heroin substitute where, like, you go to the clinic and you get the, well, the point is...
Suboxone, maybe? I know this is one of them.
I am a people addict, and people are heroin, and I need some shots of methadone, which is technically a synthetic. It's not the real thing, but it fulfills it. Or let's say I smoke a lot of cigarettes and I need a nicotine patch.
Yes.
So my nicotine patch is still connecting with people. So
no matter how you do that.
Yeah. So I think that's another one. What are some relationships that, usually with things like this, right? Like tragedies or really bad things. What I call them is my friend filters. Have you heard of that?
No.
So, like, for instance, let's say you're going through a really tough time, right? And, the surface level friends, life will filter the tough people. Like, when you're really sick, who's the ones that actually come and visit you at the hospital? Who's the ones that actually, write you notes or get well cards? And it's like, okay, wow, maybe even in my friend filter, I don't see this person every day. But when times got really hard, they popped up out of nowhere, right? That kind of reconnects me. During this time, have you noticed that? I have. So I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Sure. I have a really dear friend, Callie, and Callie and I have known each other probably for almost 12 years. And so, over the last couple of years, she's been going through some, really tough times, but then some really big joys as well. And so I feel like even if it's remote, because she doesn't live that close, she'll continue to reach out to me. And so I did hear from her this weekend, and I feel like that was it's one of those. I always say to people, you can go buy a new car, you can buy a new house, but you can't really buy a friend, So these are just things that you're cultivating over the long term, and it's like wine. The older they are, the sweeter they are, and so it's just one of those.
And it changes, like the flavor like the wine, the relationship of a wine changes over time as it ages, right?
Yes.
But it doesn't disvalue that's still good wine, right? Good quality wine. So I kind of like that analogy where it's like the flavor profile changes. Your friendships changes, but if it's a really good wine, it's still going to be good later on with age.
Absolutely.
But it changes. And I think the dynamic changes, right? And then also I noticed too is that you say you can't really buy friends. And I agree with that. Like, you can't buy friends, quote unquote, real friends. Like, you can ball out and be a rich person and got these fake entourage, right? But the real, authentic, true...
We work at Mason. That's not happening.
Nah, man, you never know. I might hit the lottery. Like, just random pivot. If you hit the lottery, would you still go to work?
No, definitely not. I'm not one of those.
I would.
Every time someone says that, I'm like, no, you wouldn't. You would take all your money and get on a yacht and invite all your people on the yacht and have a party.
Let me rephrase. I would do both. And maybe I wouldn't go to structured work. Like, I wouldn't go to this organized building ever again. But I would do something that's like work related, like a business or something. Like, and then I don't have to worry about getting like a loan. I could just
No, you'd go to work and they'd be like, did you send that email we asked you to send? And then you'd throw $1,000 bills at their head and get out of my way, and you'd quit and walk out and go to the next job.
Nah, I mean, I would actually invite everyone that like to a party. And then at the party, I'd be petty. That's where I'd be petty. Like, shout out to all the people that believed in me. Shout out to y'all that didn't, and I'm rich.
That's right.
And you're at my party. Like, it's almost like I'd still be even nice enough to invite them to my party.
Yes.
So I can
you have to have a big party to show off.
So I can stun on them. Yes, exactly. Clearly. Like, how you doing? I'm never going to see you again. I'm rich. Bye. But the point is, I would still need something to do. Like, I need something.
You can't sit around all day.
I need a yacht. I'd be on a yacht, but then after that, I'd be like, I'm a public speaker. I could tell you about stuff, and they'd be like, "Do we need to pay you?" I'm like, "No, I'm kind of rich." So
that's right.
They're like, "What is your criteria?" Like,
pay
I'm
me
rich.
$1.
That's a real strategy. Shout out if you want to book me for public speaking, I do come out to schools, organizations. Just need to pay me $1. That's
Absolutely.
100%. The link is in the show notes. So friendships filtered, but you still reconnected, right? You reconnected with that friend, and that relationship changed. So it kind of filters. What about your family?
Absolutely. I mean, my parents, if you don't know, my parents recently moved to Northern Virginia to be closer to me.
Oh no, I did not know that.
Yes.
I knew they lived in
In Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, man, they moved on up.
I can't believe they're willing to leave the beautiful town of Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Wow, where they gonna live at?
Well, that's where they were going to live, and so now they moved here.
I'm not saying where, what neighborhood?
They live 1 mile from us.
That's
1 mile.
That's
so
beautiful. Is that a positive?
I would say so, yes. I mean, they're so funny. They're hilarious. They're a great time to hang out with, and they just sing Corona all the time.
Do they have the hustle and bustle that are getting used to this space over here?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
It's a lot busier than Scranton.
They moved. They met when they were down in this area. So they met here like in 1978. So I mean, obviously things are different, but
it's the same place here.
yeah. So now they just keep saying, "Oh, we went on a date over there. We went on a date over there." So
Wonderful.
yeah.
So they're around.
Yes, they're around. And actually, my little sister lives close by, too. She used to live in Japan, and then she moved to California, and now she moved to Northern Virginia to be closer.
So you got the core. You got the crew.
Yes. I mean, wherever I go, they follow.
Yes. And are they staying safe in Corona?
They are. Well, my sister works at the hospital, Fort Belvoir Hospital, which is where the gentleman was infected.
Also,
The first case.
I'm very familiar with Fort Belvoir. Grew up going to Fort Belvoir, so
Okay.
it's a nice new hospital.
Oh, yeah, gorgeous. So I told her to stay out of the main hospital, stay in a warehouse or something, duck
There you
away
go.
until this whole thing blows over.
For
but
sure.
Yeah, I'd say that they're staying pretty safe. My dad's retired, and then my mom, she does work, but she just texted me that her boss said go ahead and work from home.
Gotcha. So they're taking precautions too.
Yes, they are. And they have very expensive face masks. They bought these cloth face masks.
All right, they can wash them.
Yes.
That's
so
why.
yeah, they're like, good for the environment and good for them.
All right, we'll put that in the show notes too. I'm gonna look them up.
There you go.
So-
Right on Amazon, $19.99.
Okay, I'm gonna get that in the show notes. Do they have designs on them too?
They do not know. You'll have to maybe puffy paint or something on
I was
top of
thinking
it.
about the American flag or something.
No,
Show
you'll
my
have to
pa-
bejewel it up yourself.
Show my maybe an alpha one.
Oh, that's a good idea. Wherever you guys. Is that,
Yeah.
am I close? No.
No, that's the deltas. And,
Oh, sorry about that, everybody.
No.
Which
Yeah.
one is alpha? Oh, this one's alpha?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, just a shocker. I mean, I don't know, we can't really, copyright it, even though it's the Hawaiian sign.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know which one was first, so every time I see pictures with people from Hawaii, I'm like, I can't get salty because, that's a Hawaiian sign.
Yeah, they all do it over there.
Yeah, so maybe they're all alphas too. Who knows?
Maybe they're honorary.
Honorary. So your family's close, your family's good, your relationships are good. So we kind of touched upon, all right, so one, we are reconnecting. We got our filter. We got our people, our family and friends will come through and really show us the support. What about activities? We are activity-based people.
That is true.
For instance, we share Toastmasters, canceled, right? I try to do a TEDx, canceled. Get me out the house, canceled. So what are we doing activities-wise?
Well, I'm a person that's always got to be busy. And so, as you know, I'm back in school this semester. That's been moved online, which I'm so sad about. I really like the in-person element,
too.
have access to the educators, have access to the campus space. And so really sad about that. I'm on a board of a social club that I belong to.
Okay, what's the name of the board?
The board, it's called the Dulles Triangles, it's a social club. And so it's really in the more of the Western Herndon, Gainesville area.
Okay.
And so we're a social club. And so we have weekly activities, and sometimes we have 3 to 4 activities a week. And so because I'm on the board, I'm privy to the conversation. We decided to cancel all events for 30 days.
Yes.
And it was definitely heartbreaking because some people, that's what they look forward to. I mean,
That's their social outlet.
yeah, I mean, this club has been around for about 30 years, and some people have been members the whole time.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, that's unfortunately, they're talking about getting on phone calls. How can we stay connected? Maybe if 1 or 2 of us can go to dinner. So,
Right,
that's really
right.
sad.
Yes.
And then just, getting out there, I think I'd still go to the park probably.
Yeah.
I think I'd still go bike riding even in this situation.
Solo stuff. I walk my dog really long. And then I'm agreeing with you too. Like, we had our frat meeting, got canceled. We're taking the same precautions. So
That's over the weekend?
It was supposed to be on Saturday.
Yeah.
And we're gonna probably keep it going and monitor whatever the school system does. I mean, what sense does it make to have an organization meet as much if a school is shut down? Like we got to think about taking into account the larger stratosphere population. So yeah, we were really social people, and we go to group meeting things, but they're getting canceled. And so that's hard.
That really is. And then I know you hear parts of Europe and stuff where the cafes are it's not just a place to eat. It really is a place where everybody gets together and socializes. And there's people do these kind of things too. Like some people do it at bars and some restaurants, and there's local places that you see people hanging out, even like the dog park.
Yes.
And I think that people are shying away from those activities. So I think it really is going to be for some people in the mental health arena.
Yeah.
I think they're going to start to get those remote phone calls, and they're going to have to be helping some of these individuals who rely on these social
because
events.
you got to be like a little bit proactive at this point. And I think the reason why I believe that human beings are tribal in nature. We collectivize, right? That's how we survive, right? But now mentally, for mental health, that's groupings are always natural, right? Like, you ever notice that? Like, hey, oh, you like the same thing? Oh, you like the same thing? Okay, we make a group. Like, that's just, it organically happens, you know? Oh, you know, whatever, you want to talk? I like to talk. Oh, Toastmasters. I was pretty sure that's how, I mean, if we boil it down, that's how it all worked out.
Exactly.
Like, oh, you're the only black person at this campus. Oh, fraternity. That's like how Alpha started. Seriously. So, like, we are naturally finding commonalities, and then we start groups off of that. And what's going to be really hard for that is that physical part is gone, but we still have that desire to do so. So, you know, like, oh, you like, and you could just insert you like and then find a group on Facebook or whatever.
True.
So maybe that could be a solution, right? Like, find that, like, what that group was going to be physically, and look for the substitute, like Toastmasters, the Facebook group, or like you said, we have a group me for my chapter, or we have, you know, a way to communicate, but also just in general, the National Alpha has a whole Facebook group. So there's like ways to do that. I mean, does your group have a Facebook group?
Oh yeah, we're on Facebook. We have group text messaging. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Meetup page. So there's a way for us to stay connected. And actually, somebody just was talking just this morning about our first virtual event. So we've never done virtual events. It's always been live and in person.
I like that.
And so there's this conversation, like, let's start this. At least it's a place everybody can go and stay connected and get support. So
yeah. So what would that be like? Like what? I know, like, okay, like, you know, when people go live on Facebook, there's like one person that's the host, and then people can jump in and comment. What's your thoughts for this live event?
So I'm just hearing about it, and so we're actually having a strategy session on Wednesday to discuss what it would look like. Yeah. It sounds to me like it might be a conference call type setup. Okay. At least initially, but I think I heard you talk before about Google Hangouts. Yeah,
Google Hangouts. Well, I mean, all these ones, Zoom, Google Hangouts, all those things, opportunity, like, for people to either FaceTime in, but also they has a phone number. So people that don't, Zoom has the phone number, so people that don't have access to a computer can still call in. And then if you have a paid account for Zoom, you can record it and keep it for later. If not, it's just there and it's hosted and it disappears.
I feel like someone has a Zoom account. Then that sounds
the premium one.
Yeah, someone has an account where they said we're going to record whatever happens.
Yeah, you could do that with the premium one. You have to have one that's a real. Like, I use free Zoom. But if you use a real one, because the free Zoom means that if it has over 2 participants, you can't record it. Oh. You can only record it less than 2 people for free. But if you want to record like a 50 person one, you have to pay for the paid one.
Oh,
which is cool. You know.
Yeah, I feel like somebody already paid for it, so it's going to take care of itself. But yeah, that's how I think we're going to stay together. I mean, so I know that everyone always bashes technology, and these kids are online, and no one's paying attention. And but it seems like in these tough times, it's really going to be a saving grace for all of us to stay connected.
Now, let's also. Yeah, you know, I know the extroverts are going nuts. They love it. But what lessons are you learning from them? I'm learning some lessons from them.
Are you? I'm not really sure yet. I'm so sad that I can't go out and talk to everybody. So.
Oh no, are you? I thought you meant like, are you like Philip? Are you like just BSing right now? I'm like, no. I mean, for real. Like.
Why? What are you learning from them?
The importance of recharging. Like, I mean, my battery's off the chain, right? But I think even the Energizer Bunny, is going to burn out. So maybe I need to use this time to purposely, maybe I need to be the opposite, where I need to like schedule like quiet time, like put myself in timeout and recharge myself. Like, they naturally need to recharge, you know, like where you draw your energy. I naturally don't need to recharge by myself, but I need to probably force myself to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually schedule in my planner quiet time, like a kid, like I'm in timeout. And during my quiet time, I'm either going to I don't know, I'm thinking right now, I'm brainstorming out loud with you, so this
Okay.
is all coming to my head. Either I'm going to, set aside 10 minutes of that quiet time to meditate. So that'll be my forced meditation. Then during that quiet time, I'm going to force myself to write in my journal quietly. And then maybe I'll do what I'm going to say is a creative thing, quiet creative. So whether that's going to be me working on a book, I don't know, or me working on podcast ideas. Now, the main thing is, I told Tracy, is no new ideas. So during this quiet creative time, it's not new ideas.
Okay.
It's going to be...
Fleshing out the ones that you already have thought
Yeah,
about.
and tighten them up.
Okay.
2.0.
That's
I don't know,
good.
I just made that up just now, but maybe I need to actually force myself to do it. Like, block it. Like, quiet, and call it quiet time.
That's kind of a good idea. I like
With
that.
no TV. I mean, no noise.
Yes.
Maybe...
Daddy's got to find a spot just for himself.
Yeah, or maybe with this quiet time, I can listen to music, but it's got to be like
Jazz.
yeah,
Instrumental.
or classic, or instrumental.
Yeah,
or chill.
absolutely.
I like this thing called chill hop. It's like hip hop, but it's chill. It's like it's instrumentals. You can look it up on YouTube. It's
Yeah,
called
I'm
Chill
gonna
Hop.
look that up.
It's on YouTube. They have a whole YouTube channel called Chill Hop, and I usually used to do it back in the day when I was doing homework. So.
I listen to Beth Smooth Jazz out of the UK. Rod Robinson.
Is that a radio station?
Best Smooth Jazz. Look it up on YouTube. It is so awesome. It's this guy. He brings his kid in. He has his wife there, and they're drinking wine like crazy. And they have this Best Smooth Jazz station. I love it.
So tips. Okay, so one of the tips is what do we call it?
Best Smooth Jazz from the UK.
I'm gonna put this in the show notes. Best Jew Jazz UK. Shout out to the UK. My today, which is Monday, but it was gonna be on Friday. Today is my UK mom's birthday. Shout out to Eugenie and her son Oliver. Today's their birthday. But they won't get this till Friday, so shout out to you in the future.
He
as
was
well.
thinking of you on your actual birthday.
Yeah, in UK. So best Smooth Jazz. Okay. So what are you gonna do? What are some lessons you can learn from the introverts?
Lessons I can learn from the introverts.
I know one we can also. I wish we can call her in. Next time I'm gonna call her in.
Who?
Dorothy.
Dorothy. Yes.
Eventually when I get better at this podcast, I'm gonna call in random people.
See, I feel like with introverts, I might be completely wrong, but I feel like they are thinking of everything in their head, and then they perfect it, and then they say it. And I feel like you and I, it's falling out of our mouths, and
Yeah.
people are staring at us, and then at the end, I'm like, oh, I know a better way to say that. So it's kind of like we're thinking through things, whereas they're perfecting it internally, and we're kind of like, why aren't you talking? And at the end, they say something. That's how Dorothy is. You'll see her little mind processing, and then she comes up with something good.
No, what I think about it is like, I start with the finish in mind and work my way backwards, but then sometimes I slug through and make a lot of mistakes. But the thing is, I get things done though. I start first. Instead of paralysis by analysis, I make moves. But I'm gonna use this quiet time to not make no moves and think of my moves first. Slow myself down. That's what I think it's gonna be my mantra of this too.
So
Slow down,
Slow
fill up.
down.
Slow down, fill up, and then just do that.
So what I was thinking was there's this, I guess, maybe semi-famous article that there's a gentleman that went over to Asia, I believe Japan, and he was going on a business trip, and he went to go survey an Asian corporation's operation. And as he was walking through the building, he noticed a lot of people looking out the window. And he said, why are these people looking out the window? And the big boss said, we're paying them to think. We brought in smart people, we paid them to think. And then he said, even when I was walking out of the building, they kept staring out the window thinking. He's like, that's how they come up with good ideas. It's how they come up with big thoughts, as we actually pay them, give them time to think and let their minds be quiet and actually come up with some good ideas and to actually figure out how to execute on them. And so if I was learning something from an introvert, like I was just mentioning Dorothy, I can see that maybe these people spend a little more time thinking than talking. And so maybe that's why some of their ideas are a little more fully fleshed when they actually start talking about things.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe that could be something to learn from this group of individuals, is to spend at least as much time thinking about something as we are talking about it.
Maybe it's gonna be my quiet time.
Maybe
It's
the
gonna be
quiet
called-
time's what we need. Maybe that's what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, maybe it's called quiet time, thinking time. And I mean it. I don't know if that was gonna rhyme or not.
But I know you and I are the same, because we'll just talk and people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, this is my brainstorm.
I don't think people. If I had a visualization of my brain, Just think about a bunch of papers just getting thrown around, and then eventually you pick one off the floor. It was a good one. That's my brain. But I mean, eventually one of the papers is going to be a good. Oh, this is a tip sheet I really needed, but I was just throwing papers, and eventually someone's going to pick one up, as opposed to putting them in folders.
Understood.
Like, I probably need to put them in folders.
Got you.
Quietly
during this Corona situation.
Yeah, Corona, shout out to you. Not really, because it's totally inappropriate.
But we're trying to find some good in this terrible situation.
I mean, it's pretty terrible, but I think the world needed a reset. And this does not mean some, cleansing, some kind of, I'm not a crazy man.
Yes.
I'm talking about a reset mentally, a mental reset, if that makes sense. More not an ethnic or population reset. I'm talking about more like the whole world needs to slow down.
Got you.
We're all moving very fast.
Yes.
You notice that? Like, everyone's moving fast. Everyone thinks their job is so important. Everyone thinks that what they're doing is so essential. Come to find out, we take coronavirus. Guess what is essential? People that work in hospitals, working with people, in the government, supposedly. But us
making food
and food
Yes,
people, food, politics, and first responders and hospital people.
Yes.
That has come through this as the essentials. Like, this is essential. Everyone else, I'm sorry, your job's important, but it ain't that important. Like, if I did not report for a week, would this whole campus shut down? No. I mean, it kind of makes me humble me a little bit. Like, Phil, you may think you're doing a big thing and your job is so essential, but it's not really. I think the only part that I find that I've been really essential at is at home with my kids, taking care of my family.
Yeah, of course.
But the world, I mean, everyone else can slow down. That's what this thing is telling us to do. Slow down and plan things. Or I think it's actually forcing us to be creative too. Like, damn, we had all these crazy ideas. Oh, you can't do them no more. How are you still going to do it? And I think this pandemic is forcing us to say, okay, how are you still going to get things done with an obstacle that you never foresee before? And either people rise to the challenge and say, we're still going to do this, and still connect and still be virtual and still do this, or they're just going to sit in their house and panic. I don't know. I feel like if I could feel like this is an invisible enemy, I'm like saying, like, what can I do? Ain't nobody going to stop me, or this vague. I don't think we're going to give her a gender. Rona doesn't have a gender.
No.
It's non-binary. So this entity is not going to beat me. I'm pretty competitive, if you didn't notice. I say that.
Corona.
No, I say that a lot too.
Yes, that's true.
Ain't nobody gonna beat me, and we're gonna win and get like fake accolades that really no one cares about. Like, we're gonna get this award. Like, no, by next year, no one cares about the award that we got. But I cared about it in that moment. I was like, we're gonna win.
That's right.
So. But I think it's.
But I was going to say
another. Yeah.
You just said it though. Another piece of this, of people that are seemingly very important emerging, would be the people that are handling some of these technologies. Because if you are sick, and obviously when you thinking that you might have some of these symptoms, you're not showing up to the hospital. At least that's what they're. The direction is not to show up at the hospital. It's to call in for a virtual appointment. So my point is, some of these telecommunication individuals, people that are helping with these web conferencing services, becomes really important. Even people reaching out via 911. Like, again, this is some of those, like you're saying, a different type of first responder, but the telecommunications folks and technology people become really important, because we have to stay connected. Even with the logistics, making sure that all the items are getting where they're going and stuff. A lot of that has that background technology. So really imperative.
I mean, and I think it's really just, it's kind of like when any world or anything is faced with a real unpredicted challenge, I think you really figure out, what are you going to do? That's like the big question, like, what are you going to do? And sometimes we wait for like some people to give us direction. Like, what are we going to do? I have to wait till the school tells me we're closed or not. But at the same time, like, but what are you on the micro level? Like, what are you, Philip Wilkerson, going to do when you don't know if you're going to go into work tomorrow? And I know that's really scary too, because especially what if it's like really basic needs, like how you're going to, certain people can't feed their families and stuff like that. Or, they can't go to the store, the grocery store. So it's like, what do I do now? What do I do now? Oh, maybe I gotta text some people. You got some extra. I got a bread. You got some milk and barter. I don't know. Or you got to know what schools are still open. Oh, I know that this elementary school is doing free lunches. You
Yep.
know? So you got to start looking at your resources like, okay, I can go to this, during lunchtime and get some meals for my kid. So it's like, I really feel like during adversity, such as this, uncertainty, it makes you creative. It makes you figure out other solutions to get things done. But at the same time, it's also, for me, it's telling me to slow down.
Yep. Well, we were just having a conversation about, you dial it back maybe 50, 60 years ago, you ask a grandparent,
Yeah.
and they would say, my neighbor would come over and I'd give her a cup of sugar, or
Yeah.
she borrowed my vacuum cleaner, one of these stories.
Yeah.
And today, like, how many of your neighbors can really count on you, or how many do you know? And a lot of us don't want to be bothered. And so this kind of reminds us that we are not living in a vacuum, and we do have to rely on one another more than we really want to admit.
Yes.
So, and it's a good thing, right? So the people that are rising to the occasion, that's what makes true heroes, these people that are stepping forward and giving of their time and serving one another. So
Yes. Yes, 100%.
there's a lot to be learned in situations like this.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, already some people have already said, "Oh, I'm collecting food." Like, you really, I think we also like to focus a lot on when catastrophes happen. Is like, oh, what's ill with the world? Like, people are really bad. But I've also noticed that when bad things happen like this, you see like people come out and be really kind.
Yes.
Like, yo, I'm collecting food. Like, my wife went to make lunches, like bag lunches. I'm like, you see also, not only do you see the worst of humanity, like looting and robbing and all that stuff, but you also see like the best of humanity.
Yes.
Like, you'll see someone like, like, let's say a hurricane, you see people like diving and sacrificing themselves to save other people.
Yes.
Or people opening up their houses to strangers and say, yo, my house is not flooded. Come with me. Like, you see also the best in humanity
Yes,
during
I
these
agree with
times too. So I think that makes me positive. I mean, that's a positive outlook, is what can we do is, one, slow ourselves down. Two, I also think even with this slow down, is like, what can I do with my resources to help someone else? Now, I ain't going to open up, no Chateau de Wilkerson. I'm not opening up my house to you. But there's things I could do, maybe emotional support,
Sure.
maybe that phone tree, calling people, like making sure people are calling each other and be the organizer of it, create a phone tree. Have you heard of phone trees?
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
maybe make a phone tree. It's like, yo, I'm the point person, but I want to make sure that everyone's checking in on each other. So
Yes.
I don't know.
No, that's a great idea.
What can you do?
I
Oh,
like
man.
that. I like that.
I mean, we brainstorming. I actually got to write down these ideas because I'm gonna forget. This is like a live brainstorm.
You just listen to the podcast.
Nah, it's funny. I never listen to these after I post them.
Well, you should. They're
do.
great.
Nah, they're all right.
Quite entertaining.
Yes. So so we got slow ourselves down. We
Yes.
got connect to family.
Yes.
We got what can we do to help other people? Some services. We got thinking outside the box. And these are some great ideas to get done. And we all like make a list of things you miss. I want to do that too. Maybe make a list of things you miss, and then find with that T chart what you miss. How can you substitute it or something? Find it. Find a.
I just think
very
it really
close.
helps you understand what's important.
Yeah, it's an important list, a priority list.
Yes. Because normal day to day, what are you thinking? It's really important that I get that new couch. It's really important that I get these baseball tickets. But really, at the end of the day, it's not what. Right now, that's not what you're craving. You're craving to see the people you love, to make sure they're safe.
I miss sports, but also, like you said, it's essential. But like I miss. But then I'm like thinking about it, like when you say I miss sports, let's break it down. What do you miss more about sports? One is I miss watching it with someone else. That's one. A lot of people miss the social aspect of watching sports. Two, you miss the visible representation of competition on a court. Like I like to see people compete with each other. So maybe some other ideas is watch old. It's weird to watch sports that are not live anymore, but I have watched you go on ESPN Classic and watch this was the best Super Bowl ever, and you watch the old clips of an old Super Bowl.
I didn't know they showed that kind of stuff.
They sometimes do that on ESPN Classic or even NFL Network, where they'll show games that have been previously broadcasted.
Yeah.
Take all the commercials out and then they condense it.
I could watch out with the X Games. Do you ever watch out with people on skateboards and they're falling all over the place?
I mean, definitely. I mean, anything competitive and people competing, I watch.
I just think it's cool because I can't even stand on a skateboard. So to watch these people coming down hills and jumping around.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I also like to watch things where people do things I can't do.
True.
And that's dope. That's crazy. So I'm gonna make a list. What I miss.
X Games. Let's see where those are at.
There's one. I think they show the old ones on ESPN Classic.
Really?
I'm about to cut cable anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right, so we got that. We got meeting people. We got taking. We didn't even really talk about it, kind of glanced at, but taking tips from introverts by slowing ourselves down and fleshing out our pre-existing ideas, not new ideas.
Yes, that's right.
We put ourselves on a moratorium.
We have to.
Moratorium of new ideas for creative, outgoing people. Work on your ideas that you already have.
Yes.
Tighten them up. And then what else?
Yes, because right now, otherwise we just keep thinking of new ones, and then we get ourselves into
I'm not going to lie. You know, Tracy said that to me. She said that to me just now.
What?
She was like, Phil, what are you going to do with all these new ideas that are going to come out your head? And I said, no, Tracy, I'm going to put myself on moratorium. No new ideas.
No, we have to. We have to just figure out the ones that we already have thought about and the ones we've committed to before we move forward.
My brain has always got new ideas. Like, this is going to be dope. And then I do it. And then sometimes it's not as dope as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But I do it anyway. All right. Well, let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
So this commercial break is brought to you by Positive Filter. Yes, myself, because I have no sponsors. So if you really enjoy listening to this podcast, please consider leaving a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Every review helps spread the message of this podcast to other people. And if you have a favorite episode, please reshare that episode randomly on your Facebook wall or through your Instagram stories. The more and more people share these episodes and get them out to other listeners, the better this podcast will do. So, back to your regular scheduled episode.
All right, and we're back. I hope you enjoyed that commercial, which was just me plugging myself. So we're back from the commercial break. Let's just do a couple, shot for shot. But instead of just one, let's do like a couple. So you get to ask any question related to social distancing or not, and I get to ask you a couple questions. You want to go first with our shot for shot?
Okay.
All right.
So come up with a question?
Yeah. You want me to go first?
Yes.
All right. So your parents are from or military just like mine.
Yes.
And now they're back in the area.
Yes.
Have they already said something they missed from Scranton? Like, did they already say, well, in Scranton, it's like they missed something? Or are they so jazzed to be here, they don't miss that place at all?
Okay, so yes, they have said something. And for anyone who has not visited northeastern Pennsylvania, you would not know this, but people there talk to you all the time. And I'm going to give you an example. We were backing into a parking spot a month or two ago when we were visiting, and literally someone just stops their car and just starts talking to you. Oh, look at you backing in, da-da-da-da. Or you're in the supermarket and you buy some ham and someone walks up next to you. I like that ham. My son likes that ham. It's delicious. Da-da-da-da. Like on and on and on. So my point is, that's one thing they say they miss, because everyone there is talking to everybody. The cashier is talking to you. Everyone just starts random conversations. In fact, for someone to be the king of random, what are you, the king of random?
All that. Just give me all the titles.
You would love this place because they're so random.
Do they actually follow up afterwards or just walk away?
Literally, they'll just walk away.
So that conversation is dead?
Well, I mean, if you wanted to exchange phone numbers, I suppose you could, but...
Does it happen like that?
I don't know.
I'd be the mayor because I can't... I like random conversations, but then I'd be like, yo, let's holler, let's keep in touch. And then I got a bunch of numbers where I probably text them one time.
Oh. Okay, well, you could try that. Next time this happens to me when I go to Scranton, I'll ask them, may I have your cell phone number, and see what happens after that.
Let's keep in touch. I love it. Do you like the ham? I like the ham. Holler at you later.
I'm just telling you, like, you're just looking at some pickles, and they're just like, pickles, I love pickles, and they just start talking to you their whole life story.
Oh, so they even go further. They tell the life story, too.
Sometimes they tell you about people they know that are sick. Sometimes they go into, like, all kinds of detail.
I like that.
Yeah.
So your parents missed that.
They miss those kind of conversations, and they're not getting that here in northeastern Pennsylvania. Where are we at? Nova. Yeah. They don't get that in Nova because people are busy.
Why do you think people
are busy? Oh, they're on their way. They're doing things. Okay. They're making money. They're making moves.
Okay. I like that one.
Yeah, so that's one thing that they definitely miss.
All right. How about, I got a second part. What part do they, like, thank God I'm out of that place, that don't miss? So they miss the social, random people popping up and talking to them. What's one place they're like, dang, thank God we're here. I don't miss that about that place.
It's extremely cold.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a very cold place, unfortunately. It's in the mountains, kind of the Pocono Mountains, but even colder and not as beautiful. So it's kind of like the back end of the Poconos.
Okay, so don't miss that.
So, yeah, I would say that's something they definitely don't miss.
All right.
Yeah, so so my question for you, you had mentioned your UK mom.
Yes.
All right, so I'm kind of curious to know a little bit more about her. I mean, I heard one story about her, but I was just kind of curious. Tell us a little bit more about why she's so special to you.
Okay, so I can condense the story, but so I'm a military brat. Shout out, we're both military
Yes.
brats. I was born in Germany, and my parents were looking for someone to help support them. They're both very busy. My dad was a military officer. My mom's a doctor, and so they put look for au pair, nanny, au pair, whatever you call the program. And my dad's very particular, and he had gone through six au pairs. They just did things, didn't listen to him. I don't know. So I like to hear both sides. So Jeannie, who's very special to me, was in England, 19-year-old, loved Prince, and she saw this ad in the paper that says, military officer looking for au pair to help take care of 3-month-old son, whatever. And call me. And that was that. So she called it, and this is a magazine. I'm trying to ask her to find that clipping. That'd be so dope.
Right.
She calls, and she's like, I talked to this gentleman.
Do the accent.
I can't. Mine's
Just do
like
the
Cockney.
accent. You know she wasn't like, hello.
No, man. My accent is so bad. It's like Cockney mixed in with like fake Jamaican. I don't know. I'm not
Hello,
gonna
I
go.
got that.
Yeah. Chips, fish and chips, Cheerio. Like it's so bad. Cheerio, chump. So she called it, and she spoke to my dad. Hello, this is Colonel Wilkerson, or he wasn't Colonel at that time. Said he sounded so nice on the phone, whatever. It's funny, right? Never in this conversation race came up. Oh, sound is great. You sound young. You sound strong. Really deep voice. Whatever. So she gets on a plane. My dad said she sounded good. So my dad said, okay, I'll pay for your flight. I'll pay for you to come out here. We're going to do a trial. You can work for 2 months or whatever. And if you're really feeling this, you stay. If not, that was the interview.
Yeah.
So she comes and she's like, wow, she's so funny. She's like, this handsome black man picked me up from the airport. I was like, Jesus Christ, Jeannie. She's like, and I saw you, and you were the first black baby I've ever held, and I fell in love with you right then and there. And I was like, oh my God, this is like some Notebook story or whatever. And she took care of me. She made it past the 3-month trial period. Like I said, 6 or 7. She literally, her and my dad naturally clicked, and he never had issues with her. They literally were just like peas in a pod. Like,
That's awesome.
When I say like 19 years old, she said she looked at him as a mentor. She already had like a natural mentor because he was 35, she was 19. He looked out for her, just like an older brother. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of, I keep on thinking this like too, like when I work with students, like I'm 35 right now, it's almost like how would I like meet one of our student workers, a 19-year-old kid, mm-hmm. taking care of one of my kids and like guiding them, but also understanding that they're still a kid, like she was still a kid. Mm-hmm. And so she took care of me from like 3 months, 6 months, whatever, till 3, and then we moved. We moved away from Germany, and then life happened. We moved on. But luckily, kind of like the opposite of the Notebook, where remember in the Notebook, the woman kept on mailing. He would mail her, and the guy would hide the letters.
I didn't see that. I
Okay. Well, the point is that didn't happen. The encouragement was still there. Birthday cards, all that, they weren't hidden. They were given to me like, oh, you got a birthday card, whatever. So we still had a relationship. And then Desert Storm hit in 91, and my dad had to go overseas to fight in Desert Storm. And my mom was pregnant with my little sister, and she's like, I need some help. So she reached out to Jeannie and said, what's good? Jeannie, do you want to come back? So I guess 6 years. So now she's in her 20s. And she's like, yeah. So my mom finessed it. Shout out to my mom. She finessed the system and got her in what's called like an exchange program. Mm-hmm. So she enrolled Jeannie at K-State because it was right next to Fort Riley.
Yeah.
So technically, Jeannie was a college student at K-State. She was like, she didn't really go to college. She didn't care about that. And so she took care of me again when I was 6 and 7. And that was very special for me because I remember that. Mm-hmm. Like I actually have concrete memories of her taking care of me. And then that was over. My dad came back, and when she moved back to the United States, and she found her husband, who a wonderful man named Andrew. They got married, and she had a family, right? Normal family. But similar to that, we always kept in touch. And her husband, well off, does, made some good money. So they were able to come to Disney World or come visit. We would link up. Or she, kept in touch. She came to my wedding. She comes to all my major life events. She knows my boys. She, is part of my family. She's like my second mom. She's going to come again to America. Well, she comes to America a lot. I'm going to throw a little shade. She loves Prince. She comes.
The singer?
Yeah, Prince.
Oh, okay.
Prince, the singer.
Got you.
She is the number one Prince fan of all time. She visited his home in Chanhassen, Minnesota. Thinks Minnesota is the land of milk and honey. She goes and visits pilgrimage. I say Minnesota's trash. Come visit your boy in Virginia. So she's been to Minnesota a couple times, but she's gonna come. She's gonna come to Virginia, and obviously
She never came to Virginia when she.
Oh no, she always come to Virginia.
Okay.
But she doesn't come to. Out of the last 3 trips to America so far, 4 trips, she came. The last time she came to visit us was when Maggie was pregnant with Miles. Mm-hmm. But then in between those, she's gone to Minnesota. So she's coming to meet Miles for the first time. This September. Her and her husband. So there you go. That was a long story, but we kept in touch. And plus with technology, I give her the WhatsApp. We text each other.
Sweet.
FaceTime.
That's awesome.
So that's a long, condensed story. You'll see her. Because definitely when she comes in September, I'm bringing her by the office
Nice.
like a little kid and say, look here. It's like a field trip. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to show her all of Mason. And
Hey, put her on the podcast, why don't you?
Oh, I have already. I'm going to do it again.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's called Why You Love Me, Why You Love Prince More Than Me. That's going to be the episode title.
Wow.
Shade.
Some bitterness going on there.
All right, man. I can't stand Prince. Actually, I ain't going to lie. I like his music.
Do you?
I do. He's good. I just don't think that Minnesota's that great because I'm jealous. All right, that was a good question. I got one more for you and I got one more for me. All right, so parents. All right, with this downtime, what is going to be 2 quiet activities that Victoria's going to do with this downtime for you? Quiet activities. And also maybe I'll even add it because you're gonna listen to this on Friday. What is 2 quiet activities where I'm gonna check in on with you, accountability buddy,
no.
and they're not. You're on a moratorium too. I'm putting a moratorium on new ideas for you. So what 2 quiet activities, what old ideas are you gonna do during this quiet time?
Okay, so I already said it, but I have to finish up the book with Carolyn. I mean, I feel terrible, so I definitely had to put some effort towards this book. And if I didn't mention it already, it's 50 things you wish you knew before you went off to college. 50 things you knew about applying to college. These kind of ideas. So I really had to invest some energy and effort into that project. So this is an excellent time to do it. I'll be sitting at home on the couch or at my desk. So I think that's one project I'll be working on. And then I do have a Java book. It's one you just kind of like follow along and you're learning. Mm-hmm. So I would really it's like 400 pages or something. I'd like to get through that. I have one also for Python, but I'm about halfway done. So I'd like to get through either one of those to try to, because you're following along with exercises.
I'm not gonna lie. Computer's always been a natural thing that you're good at, or if not, is this hard for you? Like for instance, if I took a podcasting class, mm-hmm. which I am taking, it's pretty interesting. I know the basics, so it's fun. Mm-hmm. But if you told me to take a Java class, I'd probably scream at you. Do you have a basic interest in this? You like it? Is it fun?
Well, I didn't think I had any interest until everyone kept showing up at my office telling me to sign their forms, and I saw all their job offers, and that's when I got my interest. And I was like, you're making what? That's how I developed my initial interest. But I actually used to, I had a company years ago. It was like an entrepreneurial endeavor, and it was video editing. So it was video editing. We were mm-hmm. doing audio editing and encoding videos for the internet before YouTube could mm-hmm. do that automatically. So I was a little bit involved. I'm really good at Photoshop, things of that nature. So I do have, I guess, some natural propensity in that area, mm-hmm. but computer programming is totally different.
Yes.
So, but it's more like puzzles. You're putting together puzzles, I'd say.
Okay.
That's kind of what it's all about.
All right. So you're gonna do the book and then the Java.
Yes.
No new ideas.
No new ideas. Yes, we're making that commitment today on the air.
Okay, so that was your second question.
Yes, and then my question for you, if you could go back to the time when you're 18 and choose a different path, let's say professionally, what do you think you would have selected, knowing everything that you know now, if you were going to go back?
So it's almost like 18 when I'm going to college. I'd still would study history. Like, I love history. But I think now I would have added a broadcast or journalism aspect to it, because I like interviewing people. I like writing. Surprisingly, I like writing, but not like boring writing, like writing stories about people and stuff,
Okay.
or stuff like that. So if I could go back in a time machine and say, Philip, don't change your major. You loved history. You loved the teachers you met. You loved the people that you met. I would say minor in either we had a media studies, minor in media studies, or minor in something in journalism, and take that love of history and turn it into live stuff, like record people, or video people, or interview people and stuff like that. So, and then I would tell myself, because of that, because I had no interest in being I studied history, but I had no clue what I want to do with it. I would say, don't look like for your career wise, maybe look to get into broadcasting or some kind of media. But then I wouldn't get into higher ed, so I don't know. It's all supposed to be part of the plan, right?
Yeah, sure.
But I enjoy higher ed, working with students, but also I love. I think I'm really getting into this medium, like writing stuff or journalism or just idea sharing. So
Yeah,
I would tell myself to be more creative.
Sometimes
And not pick business. I picked business as my first
Business,
major.
wow.
And I had nothing to do. I had no interest.
Yep.
I switched. I switched majors quickly, so I would have just saved myself time. It's like, don't even enroll in that. Like, enroll
it's
in
a safe choice. That's why people do
it's like,
it.
just enroll in history, and then I would say get a minor in something. And I think the minor in the media studies would be with the focus of history would be my interest, and then my skills would be honed, somewhere to hone my skills. Either that, or I would actually, if I could go back in the time machine too, I would tell myself to work for the school paper, The Breeze,
Yes.
at JMU, because at least give me some experience doing stuff related to storytelling.
And setting up the interviews and things of that nature. So yeah, that's all good.
Yeah, but I didn't think about all that stuff. So.
Interesting.
All right, well, this is a great episode. This is going to be out. We got lots of notes, maybe some show notes. But, as I said, the deal. We did our shot for shot. We did our commercial break. Now the stage is set. Shout outs and plugs. Whatever you want the listeners to know, follow up. Stage is yours.
So thank you, first of all, to Phil for inviting me to participate once again. I mean, I feel like one of these SNL members that keep getting, one of these hosts that keep getting invited back and again and again and again. And so, I'm on a three-peat at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're keeping track.
Well, there's a guy, my man, brother Shannon Thompson. He's trying to go for the record. He's been on my episode 3 times already.
Well, guess what? I'm giving him a run for his money.
Oh, and actually, and Kevin Glover too. He's been on episode 3 times.
Well, there you go.
So there you go.
Speaking of being competitive.
Yes.
There you go. Shout out to Tracy Watson for keeping us all in check here and not letting our ideas get out of control. I would say shout out to Conan O'Brien, because really he's inspired me throughout all of my life. I just think he's the funniest guy ever. And so that's, I'd say, a couple of plugs. Toastmasters, we mentioned it already on this episode, but if anyone wants to be a better public speaker or just learn how to give feedback to people, so if you're looking to become a leader or supervisor, that's a great way to give feedback to individuals. Toastmasters is going to be my shout out. It's a frequent shout out to me. And for any person going off to college anytime soon, I really would like to encourage you to explore STEM fields, because that's where a lot of the growth is going to happen. And I think that there's a lot more, it's more fun than you could even imagine. So I want to at least nudge you in the direction of giving it a try. So I'm not really sure if a lot of college-bound students are on this channel or listen to this podcast.
I mean, a couple do, because I have more college students on. And shout out, we're gonna put in the show notes again, her book. What was the book?
A Path Forward.
Path Forward, which I still need to buy a copy. I'm about to do that today, so you can sign it. And then, so we got the Path Forward, we got the Toastmasters.
Yes.
We got the
STEM fields.
fields.
Go check out the STEM fields.
And then what is the organization you're on the board of?
Oh, Dulles Triangles. I'll give you that one for the
Dulles,
show notes. Yes.
Dulles Triangles.
Yes, Dulles. Like Dulles, like the airport, triangles.
Yeah, Dulles Triangles.
Yes.
And so those are all.
And so you should consider joining if you'd like.
Yes. can you tell us what Dallas Triangles is real quick for the plug?
Sure. So it's an LGBTQ social club.
Yes.
And of course, everybody's welcome, but it's been up in the Dallas area for 30 years. And so basically, we get together. We have a happy hour every Thursday evening, except for now, Corona.
Yeah.
And but every Thursday evening at the Sheraton in Reston from 6 to 8, and then there's usually a dinner that follows right after. We have multi dances per year. We go out to tour the Smithsonian. We have different shows that we go out. We're a part of. We have pool parties, Halloween parties, Christmas parties. So there's just a whole lot going on, and it's everybody will open their house up. They'll have like pancake breakfasts and stuff like that.
It's very nice.
So,
very supportive group.
Yeah, very supportive group. Everybody gets together. People bring their friends and family. We've gone on cruises with them. So I think it's a great way, especially if you're new to the area or just want to make new friends. They could not be any nicer.
Yeah, so that's another resource too. So we got some of those things. So we definitely got to wrap up. And as I said, you always going to be, you're one of my go-tos. You're also crazy with my ideas. You also help me. I'll give you a little quick shout out too, because I remember when I was very anxious about working with employers, I sat down with Victoria, and I got on the phone with her. First of all, I didn't know what she was saying so fast, but her confidence really exuded through how she talked to employers. And I really worked on that, and that was one of the things that brought me back to, I think I remember something, you're like, I work with employers, just be yourself. Just you offer a professional voice. Mm-hmm. And ever since I did that, I've gotten exponentially more confident with talking to employers, so I shout out to you for that.
Good for you. Yeah, we see it, man. Great improvements.
Yeah, just talking randomly and then saying...
You're good at that.
And then being structured, I can offer you this, and this, and this.
Yes.
This is what students are looking for, yada, yada, yada. So it's great. I appreciate that. So definitely follow all the resources. You're going to be on the podcast again. Maybe next Monday we could do a recap because I'm going to check in with you. But thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And we're out. Thank you for listening to Positive Filter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity of Movement. Thanks for listening.